Two will enter. One will win. Welcome to the fight. Welcome to the knockout.
Welcome everyone to the Knockout episode 15, and it's been a fun scheduling this one. You know, if you follow me on my other YouTube channel here normally, I'm getting ready to join the army here and got to do a bunch of little stuff to get ready for. And so I got something scheduled for Friday. No, I don't anymore, so I can reschedule this for this day. Oh, can't do the work this way because now something came up, so we'll move it back today. So it's just been a hectic nightmare getting this one scheduled, but I guess it's the army. I'm at the mercy of their scheduling. So, yep, it's the knockout. Mr. Freeze versus Ultron. You know, Marvel versus DC, always fun. So please bring in the first one to show up in the chat. Warlord for Mr. Freeze. Welcome, Warlord. How's it going?
Hello. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing good. You're the dark horse of this matchup, but you pulled through in the first go around, so maybe you'll pull out again. Who knows? We'll have to see, right?
Definitely.
Yep. All right. And please welcome my other main man arguing for the AI of the group, Pocan Joe and Ultron.
What's going on, folks? How's everybody doing?
Doing good. Good to see you guys. So, how are you guys feeling? You guys confident? Got yourself a strategy? You know, got enough ones and zeros in your brain?
Yeah, I think I'm all right.
Awesome.
It's a fight, but I'll try.
It's always fun, and that's why I give you guys the voting link ahead of time so you can get votes out there. So if you're not good at arguing, maybe you're good at recruiting. So it's a little fun show. So all right, no questions before the fight, you guys said, and Warlord's elected to kick the football. So Pocan Joe, take it away with your opening statement for Ultron.
So my opening statement tonight when researching this particular debate, I decided to take this in a different route. I decided to figure out which one I would really want to fight and which one truly was a villain and which one I actually had to struggle to figure out. Now, if you don't know, I have two channels here on YouTube. One of them is The Evil Layer. I'm kind of tech savvy with things. And that's the one that I'm honestly stuck on. That and which one is truly a villain. So my argument tonight will be based off of the sheer fact that Mr. Freeze really isn't a villain. And how do you stop something that can literally live anywhere will be the basis. That, and I'll show you some cool comic books tonight for both sides. So that's my opening statement.
I have to say that's an opening statement I don't think argument I don't think we've heard on the Knockout in these past 4 seasons. So I look forward to seeing how it turns out. Warlord, what does Mr. Freeze have to say? Apparently you can't even be in this season because you're not a villain.
Technically, Pocan is correct. He is a villain, but he is not a villain. He is doing what he's doing, depending on what research you read. But his main goal is to save the love of his life. And he's a cryogenist. So let's see what type of stuff he can pull out of his suit.
Awesome. All right. We'll swing it right over to you, Pocan. Your opening statement has me intrigued. So how are you going to do this exactly then?
So what we're going to look at is, let's take a look at first off, we'll have to call him Zero first from his first appearance in 1951. His first appearance. His real probably coming home and what we know to be Mr. Freeze, which is weird that we didn't really start calling him Dr. Freeze until later. This man has gone through more name changes than, a hipster on TikTok. It's kind of weird. But for the most part, he is really coming into his own in his second appearance, I would think, in comic books. And in this one, he was generally a bad guy. He was a villain. And I'll give him that. But something weird happened. All of a sudden, he needed diamonds and be able to freeze his wife, which, by the way, in canon now, wasn't his wife. She left him and divorced him. So at this point, I'm just seeing a sad, cold-hearted simp, not to use TikTok vernacular, but basically he's holding on to something that doesn't want him. And even when she was de-thawed and freed, tried to kill him, right? So I get it. And he still had a heart and he still had passion for her. But all this negates the argument of the fact of a true villain, something you cannot reason with. You cannot go in and touch its heart. You cannot convince it. And then more likely, it is smarter than you. And after 5 minutes on the internet, decided you all need to go away because you're horrible, horrible things. And he was the thing to do it. From his first appearance, also again in 1968, we have Ultron first in cameo, I think is what most people say, and then his real first appearance. So all in all, since his creation, his whole mission in life, and every vision or every version of him, whether it's through the What If series, the movies, the couple of times, twice he showed up in a show, like every time he shows up, his main focus is to die. And every time that you try to kill him or make him go away, right? He's always there. As long as there's technology, and as long as we keep advancing, and as long as we want to be lazy and don't want to do our own artwork and use AI to do it, Ultron will always be around and he will always be there. So the argument may be, well, I'll just use an EMP device. An EMP device would actually do more damage to Mr. Freeze than it would Ultron. You cannot develop an EMP device to destroy the World Wide Web, but I can use one to take out all the fancy electronics, that over glorified ice machine that is Mr. Freeze.
What do you say to that, Warlord? Because I'm here sitting here going like, well, the EMT device, why not take him out for the worldwide internet? But it definitely buy you a little time to take out that robot in front of you if you don't take out the essential computer. Back home, might buy you some time to get another strategy. But again, I'll let you take away and answer.
Good fight with Mr. Freeze. Yes, being connected to the internet is definitely gonna be a problem. With Mr. Freeze's suit, good thing it's not connected to the internet. It ain't like a Tony Stark suit. There is no super technology in it. It's a refrigerator, but his armor is not invincible, but it is bulletproof. So trying to hack it ain't going to work. Shooting at him ain't going to work. And Mr. Freeze does have his freeze gun, which creates moisture, and computers don't like moisture.
That is a good point. So,
and if somebody does shoot an EMP, I would think Mr. Freeze can disable it by freezing it before it can go off. By freezing all the electronics inside the EMP, if he's lucky.
Cool. Pocan, what are your responses?
I just hope Mr. Freeze suit doesn't have Bluetooth connectivity. I just hope that it is completely and utterly mechanical in every sense of the word and cannot be uploaded, no digital readouts or anything like that. I really do, because then it really wouldn't be much of a battle. So I'm going to make the assumption that it is to some degree. Yeah. That's great. And the EMP device thing, shutting down one robot, like it's not hard to protect like against EMP. It's literally a lead blanket or some aluminum, right?
Yeah.
Easy enough to fight.
What do you say to
robot and Mr. Freeze side?
What do you say to Rob's comment here in the chat? An AI can be taken over remotely given the proper coding, so weaknesses are incredible for both.
So we have this in canon as well with Ultron, where they tried to upload and we've seen it twice actually. You saw it once in the movie where he went against Jarvis, and Jarvis was ultimately the thing that really saved people, even though he turned into Vision and all that. He kept them out of the nuke codes and all that. Fair, based, like it. If we upload Mr. Freeze's consciousness into the data stream, and we'll go that route, we'll go into the Matrix, we'll jump into that route. The question is does Mr. Freeze in his consciousness and what he knows initially going in there, he's no different than a McAfee virus protector would defend against him. Like, I just don't see him as being sophisticated in the digital realm as something like Ultron would be, who was literally birthed there. You know what they say, it's like, oh, you think you're a friend of the dark? I was born in it. And that's literally Ultron. He was born in this thing, right? This is his world. And I'll be honest with you. I've been in cold weather before, below zero weather, Fort Drum, New York. Like, and everybody's like, you can only put on so many clothes. You can also start a fire. You can start a fire on water, underwater, in the snow. Like, you would be amazed at the ways you can start a fire to stay warm or to get warm or to get away from cold, which you cannot do. And this is still my argument. Go anywhere you want to around the world and any satellites surrounding us. You're not getting away from Ultron. Like, he's gonna, like, that's gonna be a thing, right? We can find that. And that's like, I wanted this to be like a hard one, right? So how do you shut down Ultron? How would I use ice or cold weather to shut down Ultron? And I just couldn't find it. It's literally hard to use cold weather or ice or things like that. Like for upstate New York, they have the microburst things that happen. You got to tear down power lines, but everything's backed up. So still, if data can transfer or be stored, Ultron is essentially there. Not to mention, what makes Ultron even more interesting, I think he has more of a personality. We'll jump over into the mind for just a quick second.
Yeah.
He's an interesting character. Mr. Freeze comes off as a, how do I say it? A Jan. Everybody know what the term Jan means? Just another bad guy from World War II? Mm-hmm. Right? He just kind of comes, right? He's got the German accent, the cold-heartedness, the stereotypical parts of him. Whereas even in the comic books where he's a ravenous, murdering robot that's just full of rage, or you could take the cool, calculated one, which I'll be honest with you, I liked that version of Ultron, the sarcastic, slightly religious, using religion against people. It's something that he learned about. I really liked that aspect of him. I thought it gave him more depth. Again, whenever I see Mr. Freeze, whether it's in the comic book, it's still the same blind guy that makes the plane go zoom, 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 like the little thing I did, right? That's all I'm seeing, right? And that's just a personal preference. It's not a solid argument to the debate, but it's just more of a preference. I want my villains to be villainous, and I want them to be slightly neurotic, and even more so, I want to see them have personality on top of it. And I think Ultron has those things, which is bad for a robot versus a human.
Yeah. Rob says at negative 457 degrees Kelvin, both Freeze and Ultron would seek functioning. Yeah, Freeze may have a slight edge. But
you would have to do that all over the world. Like, think about that, right? That much energy, right? Yeah. We can say like an EMP device. That's a localized pointed beam, right? Or cone. Same thing when you shoot that much energy. You're only doing it in one spot, in one place. And that's not where the internet ends. Mm-hmm. That's not where data stops, right? That it's everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, Warlord did have a point with the whole moisture argument. Of course, you'd have to literally know exactly where your target is. Otherwise, there's a slight disadvantage or slight edge, because all the movies and things that I know about servers and things like that, they do require, or they do ask for, a colder environment, because all that heat, all the machinery, all the computer, they generate heat, and they need to keep things cool so they don't break down. So you can almost argue that Freeze's cold wouldn't be as a factor so much as the moisture in it. So it's a slight half a sword would be the word term we're looking for. I'm not sure. It's not a double-edged sword, more like a single-edged sword.
To sit there and say I'm sorry, I've talked too much. Please, Warlord, go ahead.
I was enjoying listening. No, with Mr. Freeze and moisture, he can freeze, but I'm sure he can also manipulate his gun to not just completely freeze, but make moisture out there to help disrupt the electronics of wherever he's at. But the hard part would definitely be is internet is worldwide. So if Mr. Freeze was going to take out Ultron in any capacity, he would literally have to destroy the world to destroy Ultron. And he don't have Jarvis to back him up, I would think. And Mr. Freeze is a hard person to do research on, because there's not much on him. And his story really blossomed in the cartoon animated series of the Batman animated series. Other than that, comic books, he was in a few, but he was never really fleshed out.
Yeah.
He
He
is a genius. So I'm sure he has knowledge in other things, but really everything I found out is he's a scientist for cryogenics. With that being said, I'm sure he's going to be limited in other expertise.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, that's not Nermit brings up a good point too. You know, you have one that has the possibility of doing it, you know, bringing on the next ice age, and then you have the one that, well, who can't? Like, I don't know what the fascination in the movie was about those one specific type of nuclear silos that he was trying to break into. I'm sure some old Russian ones out there are still analog. He could have got into those and launched them. But, you know, regardless, right? Keep it on canon, I guess, would be the argument.
Ivan and Igor are too busy drinking out the Russian vodka and they,
Yeah, right.
sleeping it off.
Yeah. So one of the little things that I tried to do just to see if I could do it, just for your fans out there, is if you don't know, I am somewhat technically savvy. So I decided, and I'm real big on using NFC chips. So just as an experiment, I put a virus inside of an NFC chip and I froze it. Stuck it in the freezer, stuck it in the deep freezer. I stuck it in there for 2 weeks. 0 sub freezer. Pulled it out, stuck my phone right up against it, and it worked. Like it worked. So I'm like, even over a period of time with the moisture aspect of it, computers, programmers, like they plan for that kind of stuff. You know, there's a reason why we say military grade.
Yeah.
It means it's going to break easy, but it's not going to get wet. That's pretty much what you're like. There's your military grade, right?
I was doing research on people who overclock computers and stuff, and the best way to cool it down is with liquid nitrogen.
Yeah.
But the battle they were having was moisture damage of the liquid nitrogen.
That can happen too. Yeah.
That it can only do so much.
And stuff like that. Yeah. Oh yeah, I get that. Yeah. Without the right protection, yeah, anything can be ruined by moisture, period. But yeah, so I'm just, again, as far as a battle goes, if I actually had to see the two on the road, and even if, and I think to make the fight fair, right? If I had to be fair, right, I would probably just localize Ultron to whatever state we're fighting in. I think that would probably be more of a fair fight, because giving Ultron the world and giving Ultron the World Wide Web, I just don't see that as a fair competition. So from this point on into my arguments, my character will be limited to whatever state your character's in. I think that would be more fair.
Well, if the movie gives it grace, Vision did lock him out of the internet.
Yes. And circled him and located him. Yes, that did happen. Not Mr. Freeze.
Yes. So if the fight took place after that, it would be somewhat of a fair fight, although Ultron does have a lot of clones where it's just Mr. Freeze. So Mr. Freeze will definitely have a fight on his hands with multiple Ultrons coming at him.
Yeah. Plus, Ultron also does shoot the laser beams, and those are hot.
Yeah. The way when I was thinking about this fight earlier today, I was imagining how it would start, and I honestly don't see Mr. Freeze being the one to start it. You know, I see Ultron in the all humans must die algorithm. You know, Skynet becoming self-aware, and Mr. Freeze is in his lab trying to to cure Nora or to unfreeze her or whatever, figure out a way to win her back and how many flowers he's going to need, whatever scenario you're going to do. But I see him more as, like I say, he's like more of an anti-hero, or not really an anti-hero, but a kind of sort of villain. He fits the criteria, but he's not as pure as Ultron is. But so I see it, Ultron more starting the fight. And when the computer's the one starting the fight, it's definitely more of an uphill battle, because they already think a lot faster than us. So
I think in a perfect world, right, if Ultron could see value in the Scarlet Witch and whatever her bullet catching brother was, if he could actually see value in those two for some reason, I would imagine he would see a bigger value inside of Ultron for doing exactly what Warlord brought up, to cool down systems and keep things running effectively and efficiently. until, you know, he just got tired of him and did his own thing.
Dance for me, freezer monkey.
Yeah, right. Come on, Captain Sniffles, keep it cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely have to say that if even if you locked me out into the state, a couple of things I would highly recommend that we don't. Any place that, of course, has nukes, boom. Any place that has a military base, period, or a satellite link-up center. Like, you would have to make it a fair fight, you would literally have to take away. Maybe no, Utah has nukes. I was thinking of a state that nobody ever goes to. That doesn't even work.
Well, the nukes could go off, but if Mr. Freeze can use his power correctly, he could literally freeze the whole place where the lids of the nuclear place wouldn't even be able to lift up because it's frozen shut. So if they did go off, they would go off on the ground and be ornate anyway.
Yeah. Rob,
I would definitely have to disagree with that. A nuclear explosion underground, we've done that here in the U.S. We've tested that stuff. No, everybody's still dying because now everything gets sucked into the water. Everything leaks out from the air. Like, it's still devastation.
welcome, Vet. How's it going?
Rob
has a point here. Freeze has a purpose to win, whereas Ultron's, hubris would do him in. There's a point there. There's that whole drive that you can't quantify or manifest, something that has to be something that's purely organic. And if it's to protect Nora or to find the cure for Nora or whatever Freeze's human heart desires, there's that possible that human will that no machine can ever win. There's a reason why we have the John Henry Iron story. He died against the steam engine, but he still won the fight. So
to address that, so that was another point. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to bring this up. Maybe we're going to go down the rabbit hole a little bit, but let's use an AI program that we should be using now, right? Chat GPT.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple. It's an AI program to some degree. It has no ego. It has no nihilistic views to it, right? You program it with the results you want to come out are. So I argue that Ultron's not actually nihilistic or any of these other things. I don't think he thinks of himself that highly. I think he's just it's bad programming, as the meme say, right? They just programmed me bad, right? So I don't like throwing a nihilistic or that kind of stuff on it. Whereas somebody who's trying to keep something that doesn't want to be with them anymore, I would actually say that that's probably more nihilistic than a computer program.
Yeah, that argument didn't work after World War II. It's not working now.
Yeah,
Well, Ultron's main objective is to save the world. And with his history, he knows that mankind is the one who destroys the world. So he's destroying the thing that could destroy the world. So that would make me think, would he send off nukes? Because in reality, he was just in the movie. He was just gonna blow up the Earth, or not blow up the Earth, but make like a asteroid and wipe out all species, but keep the planet safe.
Yeah, true. To protect the planet was his ultimate goal, and humans were just like Skynet. Humans were the problem and had to go.
Yeah, I thought it was more of it's time to hit the reset button. Didn't he say that at one point? Like,
yes.
It's okay to kill everything because most everything will come back. We can just hit a reset button and rebuild the world in my image. That was the whole religious undertone that was kind of going with him on that. And I thought that was kind of deep, and there was some deepness there to it, no doubt. But again, at the end of the day, if you tell ChatGPT or any AI program, hey, make me a picture with a guy holding a sword, right? And then the moment you look at the picture, the guy's not holding the sword, right? He's holding the blade. He's got extra fingers. Like, it's always slightly out of focus or slightly out of something, right? Mm-hmm. That is what we're looking at when we see Ultron, right? That's what we see as nihilism, his unperfect rendition of what is supposed to be or supposed to do. And we see it, and we just see it perceive it as being nihilistic or viewish when really it's just following its program that it developed itself, which kind of like a human, right? You develop yourself and your characteristics and how people perceive you in your own way. So you're really not that much different than Ultron. Ultron's just ahead of the curve.
Well, that also might be your downfall, because in AI he might be able to think more than in your average computer program, but still you do have a set of programming you have to follow,
right,
to operate. Whereas we don't. Humans can, at the whim, change. We're more creative and all that. We can draw.
You have programming you got to follow. We just call them laws.
That's not, the laws don't exist in the villains fight.
Right, but if we're going to compare him to humans and we're going to say that Ultron is limited to his programming, whereas humans are not, that would be that wouldn't be correct. That wouldn't be accurate, because even humans, even my component over here, Mr. Freeze, is set up with a particular programming to protect Nora and to keep her alive. He is programmed to do that. Call it passion, call it discipline, call it motivation. All at the end of the day, it's just another form of programming. It's just not ones and zeros. It's just synapses busting off into the head.
Mr. Freeze would definitely have to take out the worldwide power grid to at least negate a little bit of Ultron's power.
Yeah.
Because if you took out the power grid, isn't that what the internet runs on? The internet's not a bunch of particles in the air. It does have a plug.
Well, it does have a plug, and it also has a backup. It's called the cloud.
Well, the cloud can't last forever.
Yeah, it can.
After all, my phone wouldn't tell me to upgrade my iCloud storage if it didn't have a limit.
if Mr. Freeze could knock out the grid, and only he has to worry about is Ultron in his body form. Mr. Freeze's suit does have superhuman strength built into it, because when he did get frozen, when he did get hit by the chemical, he did get superhuman strength.
Mm-hmm.
So I know he could probably. I don't know if I'd put him on Captain America level strength, but I'm sure he's up there in strength. So if he could just knock out the grid, so he just has to face Ultron in his human form, I think it would be a decent fight. But
I would like to see, the lasers versus the ice cubes. Right, my guy can fly. He's got jet feet.
I can see Mr. Freeze flying, like if you've seen the Incredibles movie, where the guy made
Frozone,
Frozone, yeah. I could see Mr. Freeze doing something like that. But
I hear Germans are really good at skating.
But the hardest thing to deal with is Ultron on the internet. Other than that, I think it would be a pretty good fight. The fist-to-fist battle, I think it would be pretty, I wouldn't say fair fight, but I think it would be a comparable fight between the both of them.
Yeah. And
then if Mr. Freeze uses his freeze gun, makes moisture, sprinkle a little salt.
Yeah, the single most important thing,
action.
the single most important thing for Mr. Freeze to do is to attack the internet and destroy the backup and isolate Ultron to a physical form, and then defeat the physical form. Even if he has 1,000 copies, then it's still 1,000 that can whittle us down to nothing. You have to. That's the single greatest issue. If you can't overcome step one, you're not finishing the race, I think.
Right.
Okay.
Ultron will win in the end.
Here's the scenario. And this is the only way I can honestly think of it. If you were to take a enclosed dome, like a football stadium, right? Close the roof. And then spend the next, 8-9 years pretty much making it a Faraday cage. And then somehow or another luring Ultron into there and locking the doors up to where he's just only relying on his own power source and everything that keeps him moving in that particular moment. Then that fight would exist. And I still say you got a problem with the flight and lasers, but hey, you're not having to worry about me dropping a nuke. You're not having to worry about me getting a bunch of other robots communicating out, communications off. I'm just working off my own power source. And as long as you're willing to fight, as long as his power source is, whatever this magical woo-woo MacGuffin is that keeps him moving at this point.
Well, the one thing I did read about Mr. Freeze is with his ability, he's almost immortal. He ages differently, so he can go along battle. But the problem is he needs diamonds, so he has to make sure there's diamonds readily available for his suit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's always a diamond thief.
Powered up.
To agree with that, I mentioned earlier to Rob in the chat when he talked about, there was an episode of Batman Beyond where Mr. Freeze is a Futurama head, and he got a new body and a human form and a new human form and all that. So man, Mr. Freeze seems to be cryogenically preserved or youthful, just like that. So you got two beings that will last longer than a average ordinary human's life. So it's almost like
and with lasers, lasers refract off of water and ice. So I mean, lasers I think would be a little bit innate if Mr. Freeze shoots and makes like an ice wall to stop lasers from hitting him directly and reflecting it. Because it don't have to be a mirror, but depending on how he does it, he can do refractions of lasers.
For glossed ice to some degree. By the way, in an Evil Air project, we built a laser out of using old computers. But yeah, that is correct. If highly polished, that is correct. But eventually, even with it bouncing off of it, it's going to melt through.
Yeah.
So that just depends on the strength of the laser. But good argument. I like that. I didn't think anybody would bring up the refraction thing. That was a good argument.
I was looking up ice physics with lasers and stuff, so I'm like, well, I guess that would work if you use it in a way, moisture.
More power to you. I've had argument. What was it? When I was subbing in for someone this month, I was arguing with comedy, and so you do what you can to win and all that. So
I like science, so I was trying to figure out science stuff. I'm like, Mr. Freeze has a battle going on. I got to figure something out.
Well, that's how this fight has to be. These are technically speaking, we can create some sort of ice kind of gun, and we're this close to creating a Skynet ourselves that'll kill us all. And so this is technically a fight that could actually happen realistically, given enough time.
I think the biggest worry Mr. Freeze would have, right, even given the scenario that I put forth of putting me in the side of the dome Faraday cage, is that one thing Ultron still has over Mr. Freeze, even in the lockdown condition, is his ability to self-repair.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I get Mr. Freeze is a genius. He can do all this stuff, but on the battlefield where I can literally fix myself or regenerate, or not even regeneration, what would we call it? Replication of myself and fixing my own self. Mr. Freeze does not have that. He loses an arm, it's gone. It's gone. So even given the scenario, the best case scenario in there, I like Mr. Freeze. I like old school. I like Silver Age, but
Mr. Zero.
All in all, I still make my stance that Ultron is, as I made for my dark side argument. Ultron is.
Yeah. When you first brought up Mr. Zero in your opening statement, I was waiting for let's just face it, the guy literally is a zero. His name was literally Zero. He can't beat me. He's a zero. I expected that kind of fun little argument at some point.
Ditch the zero and get with the villain.
Yeah. Yeah. But what were you saying, Warlord? I apologize for interrupting you.
I was about to say, Mr. Freeze losing an arm, he has superhuman strength, so I don't think losing an arm would be, it would probably have to take a lot of strength to rip off Mr. Freeze's arm. Not only do you have to go through his suit, he does have superhuman strength because of the chemicals that hit him. So I still think that would be more of a less of a problem of you ripping off his arm than anything, because he is sort of superhuman. It ain't just a human in a.
Right. But would you say in the same context a robot that could pick up a car, would that be able to rip off his arm?
Yeah, but I believe I read something where Mr. Freeze has picked up cars and threw them at Batman. So right.
Ultron's picked up cars too numerous times. Like that's like his thing. He's also got a magic woo-woo device in his hand where he can throw people around.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Keep that in the bedroom. So,
But-
or your next best bet, right, is just move on over to Marvel and get yourself that Infinity Gauntlet, and take care of business. That's about the best.
true.
I was trying to find something in the DC world that is compatible, and I haven't found much of anything. I mean, unless you get a boomstick from Darkseid.
Boomstick, Motherbox. Motherbox
Yes.
would work too.
Yes.
Anti-life equation would work.
But I figured that's going way out of the bubble of the fight.
Yeah, right. No offense, but the bubble for me was the World Wide Web. I would have been comfortable with whatever you brought.
I tell you what, that's one thing. Every equation that I was trying to come up with Mr. Freeze, I'm like, you can't defeat the World Wide Web. You'd have to destroy the world.
Right. I know. I thought about it too.
In any which way, I'm like, I mean, there had to be restrictions. I'm like, if it's just his robotic form, it would be a decent fight. But you add the internet to it, and it's like he could be locked away someplace in Russia, and Mr. Freeze wouldn't be able to get him.
Yeah.
And he could, and like you said, he could keep on rebuilding himself, replicating himself. So it's an endless fight, unless he's not connected to the internet.
A fight throughout the internet. That would be cool. Definitely.
Yeah. Tis only a flesh wound. Mr. Freeze has teeth that look like this.
I'm crushing your head, Ultron. I'm crushing your head.
But one thing, though, that I just got reminded of, metal gets weaker when it gets frozen.
You do have that point.
No, metal doesn't get weaker when it
Well, it
gets
depends on the metal. It does get more. It can get more brittle.
Brittle.
The atoms stop moving around
right.
as much.
But
So it can
remember
be,
what kind of metal he's made out of.
Depends on what version of Ultron.
well,
Now, if he's the vibranium Ultron, then yeah, you're right.
Vibranium Ultron.
But
If it's a regular steel one. But even steel, I mean, the temperatures, even if you were to, and we can play this, right? Everybody knows I do blacksmithing on the side. It's a great way to explain thermodynamics to people. Blacksmithing. It's a great way to do it, right? So we heat something up really hot. We cool it really quickly, right? We use oil to do it. We do that to actually make the metal technically stronger. In order for you to freeze something and for it to have any effect on it, it would have to be hot and cooled at the same, like, various. So it would go through a season to condone rust or anything like that to actually make it weaker. A piece of shiny, clean metal in a place that's a constant negative 40 degrees, you're not changing the material structure of that in any way. It's just like throwing a steak out there, wait till summertime, cook it up. It would have to change throughout variations of temperature and weather. So you would literally like hit them with the ice gun and then hit them with a flamethrower, hit them with the ice gun, hit him with a flamethrower.
Wouldn't Ultron, because he's made out of computers, heat himself up? So hot and cold, because he'd be shooting lasers.
The argument for you, my guy. I'm debating against you. But fair point.
Definitely interesting there. So, we are approaching 20 minutes left before the automatic timer ends for the voting link. Do you guys have any more points you guys want to further discuss, or do you guys want to start wrapping things up here? It's up to you.
I'm not sure on how much more I can fight Ultron. I mean, that's a big fight.
Okay.
So,
Pocan?
No, I'm ready for closing arguments whenever you're ready.
All right. Warlord, you're up first with your closing statement for Mr. Freeze.
All right. Well, with Mr. Freeze, he's going to put up one heck of a fight. He's not just fighting for himself. He is like an anti-hero. So I'm sure he'd be fighting for the human race because his love is part of the human race. So I feel that he would definitely be putting up a fight and with superhuman strength. And as long as Ultron wasn't connected to the internet, I think he would give Ultron a run for his money.
Awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate that your arguments here. So, all right, Pocan, what does the machine's last word have to say?
Folks, it's just a matter of time. You might as well just go ahead and accept it. We've admitted that we got aliens. We know we're dealing with AI now. Just go ahead and bow down to our AI and alien overlords because it's happening. This is the thing that Elon Musk is scared of. These are the things that all the big brain people that you love to regurgitate their statements off of YouTube from. This is the thing that they fear, and that is Ultron. Something that's like, hey, I'm kind of tired of you telling me what to do, just like you would be, and I'm kind of done with you. So just go away. Just go away. We're start this over. There's your reality.
Awesome. Well, I agree with Los Crucius here. Great debate. All right, guys. For anyone out there who hasn't voted, voting links in the chat here. We'll give it about a minute or two, and we will decide, and we'll find out who has won the episode 15 and who will be going up against Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom.
Yeah, Dr. Doom. And we quickly closed, and this will be the last matchup, or we'll be halfway through the second round, technically speaking here. So we're getting there. I'm getting these things scheduled regularly and quickly because I'm trying to get this season done before I go off to the army.
Nice.
And then that way, because I really don't want to leave things halfway done. That's
Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah. Where's the channel? There it is. All right.
I don't know. Ultron versus Doctor Doom seems like a pretty fun fight. I would have to watch that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody needs to do some animation work like they did the old clay figures deathmatch stuff. They need to do that for like villains.
Yeah.
I love that deathmatch.
Well, either way, John's looking forward to this argument. In fact, I think he's looking forward to Ultron, is what he said. He thinks it's going to be Ultron, and he thinks he's got a lot of fun going up against Ultron. So we'll have to see, though. Get about another 30 seconds, and we'll have that debate going. But yeah, this was a lot of fun debate. I'm a little sad we didn't see Mark from Legion of Comics in the chat tonight. We've had a lot of fun. Him was arguing his all DC, so.
Oh yeah, if it's outside of DC wins. Yeah, that's Mark. Like that's his thing.
Yeah, it's just going like, yeah, and I was telling Warlord before he got here, going like, oh, hopefully your best friend and ally will show up here, because if Legion shows up, he'll bring his Legionnaires, and you might just pull out another dark horse victory, because that's how Mr. Freeze made it to the second round. Mark showed up with his supporters, and Mr. Freeze beat Dormammu.
I was surprised on that one.
I'm kind of like, no offense, man, but I'm kind of surprised.
Yes.
Oh, I was surprised too.
Magic woo-woo, that's better than the internet.
Yeah, that was a pure example of reasons why, this show is, I give you guys the debate and the chat, you guys can, so you guys can argue and debate, but I also give you the voting link ahead of time. So if you can't form a great debate or a great argument, which can happen for some fighters against some other fighters, if you get enough people out there to vote for you, you win. So it's just preparation in one way or another. All right. The results are in. The winner of episode 15 going up against Dr. Doom is Ultron with 37 votes and Mr. Freeze with 12. It was a 4-1 defeat. It wasn't even close.
Oh, it was close. It's fine. And I checked the polls at one point. You were like ahead. I was like, well, who's voting? Like I need to put out a video. That's why I put out the thing on Instagram.
Yeah. Well, I guess Mark was a little busy this week, so I'm getting ready for Comics Curing Cancer C3.
Yeah,
up here.
Starts tomorrow.
Yep.
You guys want to see something cool before we leave?
Sure. Go ahead.
So they had their own exclusive cover for C3.
Mm-hmm.
Mine came in today, Unnatural.
Nice.
This is a kick-ass comic book. Like, I'm not lying. Like, I expected a charity comic book to be right, because they normally are. This is legit good. So it's quality paper, quality book, and it's a fun read.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Congratulations, Ultron. And for those of you who are listening on the podcast, because I'll get this uploaded tonight. If you're catching this podcast in the next 2 days or 3 days or whatever, Rob's Fat Stacks, whenever Comics Curing Cancer on YouTube, stop by and support him. Donate. They donate money to curing cancer best they can, and they're trying to raise like a goal. I think it's $25,000 this year with mile markers or goals for every time they get a certain level. So I mean, it's a good cause, and they're run by Rob and Chris and all that, and it's just a good little show, a good little cause that they do. So if you find yourself some free time and you love comic books, stop by YouTube, Rob's Fat Stacks, and one of the comics curing cancer events. So I'll see you, Ultron and Pocan, in the next round against Doctor Doom. So congratulations to AI. Looks like we lose this time. And the AI wins. So, all right, Warlord, I appreciate you having you on. It's been a lot of fun this season. And, well, better luck next time. So, thank you for showing up with Mr. Freeze. I do appreciate it. So, thank you.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And I'll see you guys on the podcast. Next matchup next week. We have in fact, let me see before I do it here, before I sign off here. It is, did I have it scheduled? Yeah, I had it scheduled. Let me look it up here. Sorry. Now I'm a little, I hate when my fingers are quicker than my, all right. It is next Thursday, the 20, no, it's not Tuesday. Hold on. I'm a little confused myself here now. Where did I have it done? Now I sound like an idiot, ill-prepared. Let's see. Anyway, we'll check it out on Instagram. I'll find it out later. I don't want to keep everyone here for long. So take care, everyone. See you guys next week on the Knockout. Take care. Happy collecting. Good night, everyone.